midday cloudburst was just pouring down as Josh and his companions traveled along the muddy trail. They were returning from Old Luke's Best's hunting spot with a very special delivery. As they rolled into town, it seemed to stop raining as a rainbow appeared over the eastern mountains. Well, there was a certain fancy stagecoach parked in front of the stables. Josh turned towards the other riders.
Hey, look! That's Mr. Davidson over there. What's going on?
The town's men were also there, kind of standing around him, and Josh made a signal for the other riders to stop.
Hey, listen up. Remember our instructions from Luke to keep quiet about the gold. So, let the chips fall where they may, and God be with us.
Okay, honey.
Yep.
Well, Mr. Davison came a-running towards Josh to stop right there in the middle of the muddy road with tears in his eyes.
Josh! Please, Josh. Luke's right. I'm greedy. I'm selfish. Bernadette's leaving me. She's taking Leah and Rachel. Oh, God. Help me. She said she'd rather be poor than happy, rich and miserable.
Well, Mr. Davison fell to his knees as Josh jumped off his horse and walked towards him.
I was so busy making money. I missed out on watching my beautiful babies grow up. They needed me, not money.
Well, then Mr. Davison pointed over at James and John, who were still seated in their wagon.
My girls love them boys, and they love my girls.
Well, then Mr. Davison fell flat on his face, right in the middle of a mud puddle, and just laid there. James and John hopped out of their wagon and ran over to make sure that he was okay. Well, then Mr. Davison just screamed into the muddy mud puddle.
God, please, have mercy on me. I was blind, but now I can see. Love of money is a sin. Oh, God, please forgive me.
Well, he just laid there crying away and covered in mud. Well, Josh walked over to him and knelt down.
It's okay. Stand up, friend. God forgives you, and so do we. Come on. It's okay.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, Jesus.
Josh helped Mr. Davison back to his feet, gave him a good Christian hug, and a strong country handshake. Well, then Mr. Davison faced the twin boys.
James. John. It would be an honor to have you work for me for as long as you want. I need men like you in my life. Good, honest, God-fearing men. Please. Wait right here. I have a gift for you.
Well, Mr. Davison seemed to have a burst of spiritual energy as he ran over to the stagecoach and opened the door. He helped Leah and Rachel out of their seats and escorted them up to James and John.
James? John? I would be honored if you married my daughters.
Oh, Daddy.
Wow,
Oh, Daddy.
thank you, Mr. Davidson.
Leah and Rachel both started crying as they hugged their father, and he hugged them both right back, one in
Oh, my
each arm.
babies. I love you so much.
Well, then Mr. Davison kissed his daughters and gave them to the twin boys.
What God had joined together, let no man separate. Amen.
Well, James and John just stood there stunned. They were hugging Leah and Rachel and were so surprised that they couldn't even get a word out. Well, then Mr. Davison walked back over to the coach where his wife Bernadette was standing there just as pretty as can be.
Bernadette, please forgive me. I lost my way. I love you.
Well, Bernie just reached out and grabbed him like there was no tomorrow.
I love you too, my fatty poo. But just you wait till we're alone, sugar.
As Thaddy and Bernie were hugging away, a quiet, sweet voice was heard from inside the stagecoach.
Thaddy, did you forget about your own mother?
Oh, sorry, Mom. Let me help you out of there.
It's okay, I understand. But you did promise to introduce me to the man that put the fear of God back into my son.
Well, he's right over here, Mom.
Well, Thaddy, lead the way.
Well, Mr. Davison and his mom started walking towards old Luke.
Josh, who's that woman walking this way?
That, Luke, is none other than Elizabeth Davidson, Mr. Davidson's widowed mother.
She's kind of pretty.
Luke hopped down and removed his hat as Mr. Davison and his mom walked up.
Luke. Excuse me, Luke. I want you to meet my mother.
Well, it'd be my pleasure, Mr. Davison.
Mom, this is Luke Abraham. Luke, this is my mother, Elizabeth Davidson.
Well, Elizabeth held out her hand and did a slight curtsy.
It's such an honor to meet you, Luke.
Honor's all mine, Miss Davidson.
Luke gently took her hand and lightly kissed it.
Ooh, a ladies' man. Please, call me Lizzie.
All right, Lizzie.
Well, I don't want to be too forward, but do you have an escort for the wedding?
Well, I don't, but I'd be honored if it be you, ma'am.
Then it's settled, Luke.
All right, Lizzie.
Well, Leah and Rachel were just standing out there in the middle of the muddy road, new silk shoes and all, hugging away with their future husbands. Leah kind of glanced over and saw Rowdy Roxy sitting on a horse, dressed in the fashion show favorites, and a big smile on her face.
Roxy! I didn't know you were here! Rachel, look! It's Roxy! Oh my gosh, it's Roxy!
Surprise!
Well, the two of them broke away from their future husbands and skipped over as Roxy hopped off her horse.
We were just here Saturday. We didn't see you then.
Just got here a few days ago.
Where's Stormy?
In the stable. She got shot in her leg.
Oh no, is she okay?
Yeah, she's fine. Josh fixed her up real nice. Just needs to heal for a couple more days.
Well, the three of them stood there hugging for a minute.
It's so good to see you, cousin.
It's good to see you too. But Leah, Rachel, look here. I got something to tell you.
Leah and Rachel both looked at Roxy as she kind of flipped her head towards Josh.
What is it, Roxy? Tell us.
Well, Josh proposed to me and do you think I should accept?
You said you loved him.
I did? When?
You said you wanted to throw a lasso around him and you were showing us how you were going to do it.
Oh yeah. You still remember that?
Yeah. Then Daddy came running out and yelled at you. You called him Fatty the Fatty. And then you left. And then we both cried. Did you tell him yes? Roxy, please tell us. Please say you did.
Okay, I said yeah. And I love him.
We can all get married together at the same time. We can have a really big wedding. All right.
Well, the whole town was just flabbergasted. It looked like it just might be a triple wedding at that nice Saturday picnic coming soon. People were smiling and laughing, and it was so great that school was let out so the kids could join in the celebration. Town's women brought fried leftover rabbits, stews, pies, and anything else they had to eat. The men fetched tables and had them set out lickety-split. It was an instant party right there in the middle of Main Street. As a special treat, Thaddeus Davison led the blessing of the food and thanked God for his newly found friends, which were there all along, of course. Well, Roxy gave Josh a little nudge and motioned toward Lizzie and Luke sitting at a table.
Look at those two lovebirds over there, smiling at each other and eating some pie. And look over there.
Roxy pointed at Thaddy and Bernie Davison, who were also sharing some pie. Then she pointed at Leah and Rachel, sitting with James and John, and guess what they were doing?
It must be the pie. Do you want some? Sweetie pie?
Well, I bet you never expected all that. Is there a lesson here? How about never underestimate the power of prayer? For the next few weeks, preparations were being made for the triple wedding. Rowdy Roxy was kind of kidnapped by the other women, and they helped her plan every detail. Roxy did want a pretty white wedding dress and was blessed with a beautiful wedding gown presented by Bernadette Davidson, the exact one that she wore on her own wedding day, shipped straight from Paris, and that is the truth. James and John were given permission to visit the Davidson mansion and ring the bell to call on the girls. But when they would come a-callin', Mr. Davidson would have his personal butler chaperone the couples until the wedding. So they snuck out and met over at Tyler Creek instead.
Let's go.
Well, Daddy knew all about it, but didn't say a word.
Hey, Luke, there's a rumor around town how you might fancy Mrs. Elizabeth Davidson just a little bit.
Well, she's nice and pretty, too.
Well, Luke, take some advice from an expert, just to tell her how you feel.
Now, where did I hear that before?
Well, it was finally here, and you couldn't have asked for a more beautiful day. The bright sun was shining in the clear blue sky as the townfolk rushed all up and down Main Street, making sure everything was perfect. The whole street was decorated in glorious beauty with colorful banners, tablecloths, and streamers. The three brides were hidden, as per custom, while the three grooms dressed inside Joe's clothing shop in handsome attire. Pastor Mark was the minister, the same one that hitched Theo and Bernie Davidson 21 years prior. Isaac was out there in the middle of Main Street playing a little fiddle for the folks. So let's listen in for a minute.
We're ready, Isaac.
Okay, Becky.
Well, Isaac started tastefully playing the wedding march song as the three grooms waited patiently next to the pastor. Little Susie, wearing a pretty little dress and holding a handful of flowers, walked out of the stable's front door. She was followed by 6 bridesmaids: Azzy, Becky, Jessie, Ellie, Maria, and Ruthie the maid. Well, here they come, the 3 most beautiful and happy brides that you ever did see. Thaddeus Davidson escorted his beautiful twins and his cousin Roxy up the aisle to marry the best gentleman his precious daughters and cousin could ever get hitched to. Everyone laughed and cried as happy tears were just a-falling. The feeling in the air was immensely joyous, and you have never seen a finer-looking wedding in your life. Well, Roxy kind of looked back at her 2 cousins.
Leia, Rachel, look here.
Well, she had a lasso there under her wedding dress and apparently was fixing to do something.
Roxy, what are you doing with that lasso?
Well, Halfway up the aisle, Roxy pulled out that lasso and started spinning it over her head. Round and round it went. She looked over at Josh and threw it right around him and yanked it tight.
Ooh-wee, I gotcha.
Well, Roxy just pulled Josh right towards her and gave him a big old kiss right on the lips.
Way to go, cuz. Finally got that lasso around.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to join these three couples in holy matrimony.
Well, we won't bore you with them their nuptials. They're all pretty much the same. But what I can say is this. You have never seen brides and grooms kiss so lovingly. There was so much love happening at that time, God was truly present, and the townspeople cried out in pure joy, thanking him for the wonderful gifts he had bestowed upon each and every one of them. It was truly a blessing, and everyone realized that in that moment, they were divinely privileged to have found friends and family in each other. As a special treat, Josh's best man, guess who, gave a heartfelt sermon about the proper way to treat your friends and always be generous in all your dealings. During Luke's sermon, Lizzie smiled and blew him a kiss as a couple mourning doves cuddled and cooed on the stable roof. Well, the food was ready and the kids were starving, so they just jumped right on in on that there wedding feast. The women folks saw that there was a plentiful bounty of their bestest dishes, all prepared with love and care.
Congratulations,
Roxy, Josh.
Thanks, Azzy. Joe. Oh, and Joe, these clothes look great. Thank you.
Well, my pleasure. And Josh, now that Roxy's staying here, maybe you'll stop floating away?
I guess we can finally put that lasso up, huh, Roxy?
Well, don't you be so quick on that, Azzy, because we might get us some cattle soon.
Well, Josh, you won the grand prize.
Thanks, Dave.
Oh, that's so sweet.
So glad we don't have to worry about you floating away anymore, too.
Yeah, I was ready to hog tie you to my anvil a few times just to keep you down.
Thanks, Dave.
Congratulations, Johnny, Rachel.
Oh,
Thanks,
thank
Isaac.
you.
Miss Becky.
Johnny, you don't have to call me Miss Becky. Just Becky is fine.
Okay, Becky. You know, I remember when I first met you and Isaac. You know, when Josh brought me and my brother back from the chain yard.
You were both just so covered in coal dust from head to toe and so skinny.
Yeah, I was so hungry, and you made us fried chicken and potatoes. Best I ever had. It was so good.
Oh, thank you, Johnny.
Yeah, and you two ate like a couple of newborn pigs.
Hey, Rachel, Johnny just sat there eating chicken and couldn't stop talking about you. He was about 12 then, so you had to have been about 10.
Yeah, Johnny told me about that. Me and my sister were sitting in Daddy's stagecoach. I was kind of scared of him because he was all covered in coal dust. But there was something about the way he smiled at me.
I was just a diamond in the rough.
Mom, did you ask yet?
Oh, hold on, Esau. Rachel, my son Esau wants to know if you can introduce him to your maid.
Okay, come on. Come on, Esau. We'll do it right now. Oh, don't be scared. She's really nice. Her name is Ruthie. Come on.
Congratulations.
Jim and Leia.
Thanks,
Oh,
Matt.
thank you.
Ellie.
Jim, I heard that you and your brother are going off to train as engineers. I'm gonna miss you while you're gone.
Don't worry, Matt. We'll be the engineers on the new railroad line. Well, if it ever gets built.
Well, let's hope that happens. And congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Josh.
Thank you, Mr. Davidson.
No, thank you. You helped open my eyes. I was dead, but now I feel alive. I can look around and see beauty that I couldn't see before. Like over there. It's beautiful farmland off to the west.
Yes, sir. Isaac farms it and helps feed the town, thank God.
It's gonna look a whole lot different around here after the railroad gets built. You have beautiful land here, and I don't want it to become ugly.
Well, I guess we need to work together and make sure it doesn't get ugly.
Josh pointed off to the east.
Over on this side is really good grazing for horses and cattle.
Oh, Josh, married for only 1 hour and already talking business with your new in-law. Or second cousin. Or something.
Oh, I'm sorry, honey. You're right. I love you, and I shouldn't be discussing business on our wedding day. It only comes once in a lifetime.
Oh, Joshy Poo, I love you too.
Well, Mr. Davidson, according to the boss, we need to speak later.
My office? Maybe Monday? Wherever you can get there. And please, call me Theo.
Okay, Theo. Monday.
Well, they shook hands, and then...
Roxy, that dress. I remember when Bernadette wore it. Well, I'm glad I have friends that help me get back to my senses, because I love her so much. I'm glad I didn't lose her. Well, it looks beautiful on you. Almost as good as when Bernie wore it.
Thanks, Daddy. Or do you prefer another name?
Roxy, I remember being called Thaddy the Fatty. I didn't like it too much. So can you please call me Theo? Or call me cousin if you want. Just, please, not Thaddy.
Okay, cuz. But Grandma Lucy calls you Daddy.
Well, I was never too crazy about that name. Don't tell her.
All right, cousin. And I'm sorry I started that Daddy the Fatty thing, too. I'll hush about it. But you know how hard it is to keep a good secret around here. Now, please tell me, Theo, how you gonna make sure the land stays nice around here?
Whoa, honey. Now who's talking business on our wedding day?
Oh, sorry, dear. Little old family problem. But don't you fret. It's all worked out.
Roxy kind of captivated Josh with her fluttering eyelashes and a beautiful smile. Then she looked over at her cousin.
Until Monday, cousin.
Okay, Roxy. Looking forward to it.
Well, the reception continued throughout the afternoon with a smorgasbord that couldn't be beat. On one of the tables stood a modest yet beautiful wedding cake, which was smeared in the bride's and groom's faces,
you got cake
as
all
per
over
custom. Or is this when the custom started? As the reception started to wind down a bit,
Daddy? Daddy?
Yes, Mom?
It's settled. Luke's coming to the mansion with us. He could use one of the guest rooms. I think he should use the room that's on the 4th floor. I'll make sure that a maid, maybe Ruthie, waits on him. Besides, it's Josh and Roxy's wedding day.
Okay, Mom. But you know, this is a beautiful day. Maybe the best day of my life. I love you, Mom.
I love you too, son.
well, Lizzie kind of strolled over to where old Luke was sitting as Theo Davidson walked up to his daughters.
Leah, Rachel, my beautiful twins, we're getting ready to leave, so...
Don't worry, Daddy. As long as I'm with Jimmy, everything will be fine. I love you, Daddy. I love you too, Daddy.
You're my babies. I love you both so much. God bless you.
Theo's wife Bernie came over and the four of them had a big old family hug. I believe this may have been the first Kodak moment. After a few minutes,
James, John, here's your new brides. I put them in your hands. Please, take care of them.
Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Davidson. This is the happiest day of my life.
Why, you're so very welcome, boys. But Jimmy, Johnny, call me Mom.
Okay, Mom.
And call me Dad. Now take care of our babies, okay, boys?
Yes, sir, Dad.
Daddy shook the two boys' hands and Mommy Bernie hugged and kissed them. Then Leah and Rachel rejoined their husbands as Theo Davidson turned towards Josh.
Hey, Josh, I really don't want to go, but we need to leave if we want to get home before it gets too dark.
You're right. I understand, sir. You know, it'll be different around here with the new railroad. You'll be able to get home in under an hour. But please, before you go, I have a surprise. James, John, don't mean to interrupt, but it's time. Go and get your wagon.
Okay, Josh,
Jimmy,
we'll
what's
be
going
right
on?
back.
Johnny, where you going? Jimmy, what's going on? Johnny, where you going?
You must excuse me, Mr. Davidson.
Okay, Josh.
Theo was kind of wondering what the surprise was as Josh walked away, and James and John went to fetch their wagon. Roxy skipped over to Lizzie and Luke, who were sitting at that table and sharing some pie.
Hi, Luke.
Hi, Roxy.
Hi, Grandma Lizzie.
Hello, Roxy.
Hey, Graham. Do you still love me?
Roxy, I never stopped loving you. I missed you so much when you left.
I missed you too.
It was so nice to see you at the Chucksville Rodeo. You came in first place. I wouldn't have missed that for the world. I was so proud of you.
Thanks, Graham.
Did you see that look on Daddy's face when they announced the winner? He was so mad because none of his men won. But Roxy, you deserved it.
I'm sorry I called him Daddy the Fatty again.
That's okay. The way he treats you, he had it coming. Right in front of everyone.
Roxy, I need some advice.
Okay, Luke. What's up? You okay?
Lizzie said it'd be good for me to go up to her mansion. I was not sure what to do.
Yes, Roxy. I asked Luke to come with us. I'm giving him that big guest room on the 4th floor.
That sounds great. Don't worry, Luke. You'll be fine. Grandma Lizzie will see to that.
Well, then I guess it'll be all right. Thanks, Roxy.
Welcome, Luke.
Lizzie, I accept.
Well, Luke, then it's settled.
All right, Lizzie.
James and John were just coming up Main Street in their wagon.
Hey, Graham. If you think Daddy was surprised when I won that rodeo, just watch what happens next.
Well, the twin boys parked their wagon alongside of the reception as Josh climbed into the back and...
Everyone, come over here.
Yeah, what's up,
Please
Josh?
gather around. Gather around the wagon, please.
What's going on, Josh?
I have a special gift for our town from Luke.
Then Josh opened one of the bags and poured it out onto the tarp in the wagon. When the town folks saw that gold, they couldn't believe their eyes.
Oh, this is manna from heaven.
Wow.
Thank you, Luke. We'll do God's will with it. Luke wants us to have this to fulfill our earthly dreams. But remember, our heavenly dreams are as close as the next chapter.